Good afternoon to our listeners. Um, this is Said It's Family Affairs, and I'm your host, Roseanne Vanilla of Advanced Mediation Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about children. And recently I had because they're all the way across the state in California, actually across the country, not across the state, across the country. And they are a mother and daughter who have recently written 2 books. The name of the books, and they have the same name, is I Am Divorced, But I'm Still Me. And virtually it is a child's view of divorce. So I would like to welcome Barbara Greenberg and Amie Greenberg. Ladies, are you on the line?
We are here. Hi, Roseanne. Can you hear us all right?
We hear you fine, yep. Amie. Is Barbara there too?
Hi, Roseanne. I'm here with you also.
Fantastic. So let me just introduce you formally to our listeners. Amie Greenberg is a family law attorney, and she is in practice out of Beverly Hills, California. And her mother, Barbara Greenberg, is a psychiatrist and family therapist in Brea, California. And basically what they did was they came together and used both their professional and personal experiences to write this beautiful, and I have to call them books because they are 2 books. And what they did was they wrote one in a version for a girl and the other one for a boy. So one is Juliana's story, and the other one is Next Door. So, welcome. I am thrilled to have you on the show today to share your expertise with our listeners and to tell us the whole story about how you came about writing this book.
Oh, first of all, thank you so much for having us on your show. We're really excited to be here. And hi, Roseanne. This is Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
You asked about why we wrote these books?
Yeah. Give us a little bit of the background about how you came about with this idea to write this beautifully illustrated and written book.
Okay. I've been in family practice and family medicine, psychiatry, and family therapist for 25 years. As part of my practice, I've enjoyed helping families through difficult times, including problems with divorce and the emotional roller coaster it brings. But it was not until my daughter Amie and my grandchildren experienced the divorce, and I experienced it through their eyes, that I really understood the full impact of the divorce. That was the basic impetus for the project, the I Am Divorced books, But I'm Still Me. And the basic idea was to write the books to help other families coping with these changes.
You know, Barbara, you brought up a very good point. I think that when, friends and family are going through divorce and somebody has never personally gone through a divorce, and especially when children are involved, people can say that they can imagine how the other person is feeling and what's going through them. But exactly to the point of what you just brought up is that until you actually experience it from a personal standpoint, you really can't understand what it is that these families do go through when they're experiencing divorce. Amie, just out of curiosity, was it your idea to write the book? Was it Mom's idea to write the book? How did you come to terms? Because you were the one who actually experienced the divorce, and you have children, and you are a family law attorney. So what really prompted you to want to go out there and somewhat open up and write about an experience that you had?
Well, you're right, Roseanne. I did personally experience a divorce, and I have 2 children. I'm a single mom. You're right. No one can fully understand the impact of divorce until you personally experience it. It changed my life in many ways I could have never imagined. I went from being a stay-at-home mom to practicing family law, and I wanted to help others because of my divorce, and that's why I went into practicing family law. But when I was going through a divorce, I looked for books
on divorce for my children. I didn't exactly find what I was looking for, and I recognized a need. And we collaborated together to write these girl and boy versions told by a brother and sister, Nick and Juliana, to help other families going through the process.
Yeah, I have to say that as a professional family mediator, I do read a lot of books, and especially about children and divorce and different things that affect them. And really what struck me was when you sent me these books for me to actually hold in my hands and look at them, I found amazing was the simplicity of the book, because a small child can read the book, but it was through the simplicity that you get such the powerful message. Basically what it does, and I'm going to kind of give our listeners an idea of how the book is written, but it's really a child walk process of, how everything's kind of normal and mom and dad are home, and then how kind of everything changes. Their whole world changes. What they knew is different. And then it kind of shows them towards the end of the book that things are different, but things are okay. Things are better. Things are, going back to a state of being normal. I think the illustrations in the book, there's beautiful illustrations, and Amie and Barbara had a discussion the other day were actually telling me that they're actually hand illustrations by, and when we have to mention the illustrator, it's Monica. And how do we pronounce her last name?
Eck. She was wonderful. She truly brought our vision to life. We were thrilled to work with her. She's an amazing person, and she really brought our vision, and the illustrations are so powerful, and they send such a strong message about the emotions that the children are feeling in the books. So we're thrilled that you liked the books. Thank you.
What do you think, Barbara? I'm going to ask you from a psychological aspect and from reading other books. What do you think is the main difference about your book and what children, and not only children, because I truly feel that even adults who have experienced divorce when they were younger, their parents divorcing, can read this. So what do you think the main difference is with how this book was written opposed to other books that are written out there?
I'm going to let Amie start on this, and then I'll answer.
Okay, great.
Oh, thank you. Well, the books are unique because they're written from a perspective of a child experiencing divorce. In each book, a child, Nick and Juliana, they're telling their story to other children, and children listen to and learn from other children. There's no better way to explain the feelings, changes associated with the divorce from one child to another. If you look at the titles, they include the words, a child's view of divorce. Why? We felt it was important to give children a voice. Children, unfortunately, are often lost in a divorce, especially when there's a lot of anger or the divorce becomes a battle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's Barbara. Yep. The I Am Divorced books are about communication, which is a key factor in any psychiatric process. And communication represents the first step in healing. Our hope is that the books give children permission to talk. Monica's illustrations actually bring the story to life so the children can feel it and see it. In each book, Juliana and Nick tell how their world changes. They appear confused, sad, angry, and alone and ashamed. There are many changes, new homes, different schedules, going from mom's to dad's home back and forth. They are confused because their parents are upset and their world is upside down. Later, the book shows how the parents realize the divorce is impacting Juliana and Nick, and then the family begins to communicate and then heal.
Now, Barbara, would you say that in dealing with children that are going through divorce, and would you say even nowadays that kids feel like they're the only ones who have parents? Because, let's face it, divorce is somewhat common nowadays, where I think it's 51% now of marriages end in divorce. So would you say that still children are feeling like they're the only ones this is happening to, or is it because as a society maybe we're not talking about it enough, what the children are going through?
Well, you may be right. Maybe we're not talking about it, but when it happens to a specific family, their world is falling apart, and they do feel alone. They feel like they are getting divorced. The children do. And that's why it's important for the parents to make it as easy as possible on the children, to let them know what's happening, and maybe go into family therapy or mediation or co-parenting groups, because the children do feel isolated and alone and feel as if they themselves are getting the divorce.
So we're talking about Amie, who would benefit from the book. Would you say that this book, should this be a book that's introduced to children right at the onset when they know that their parents are getting divorced, or while they're going through? Is there a particular time period or, particular people that would benefit from it?
Well, it can be read by divorcing parents. It can be read by couples who are contemplating divorce. And it may prevent some couples from divorcing, or at least prepare them to think of the children first and foremost before they make decisions they might regret later.
Yep. One thing that I talk about often with this show is I always bring to light when we're talking about divorced children is, create and making sure that both parents are on the same page when it comes to raising their children, even if they're not going to be married anymore. And it's part of, like you said, Barbara, it's getting communication going. So we're going to actually take a commercial break right now, and we're going to be back with Barbara and Amie Greenberg, the authors of I Am Divorced, But I'm Still Me. So stay tuned for more Family Affairs with your host, Roseanne Vanella.
The Networking Exchange is proud to present Talk Exchange Radio. Talk Exchange Radio is the newest offering by the Networking Exchange, designed to help businesses grow and increase their bottom line through an innovative new approach. Talk Exchange Radio is broadcast nationally, and by advertising and or hosting a show, companies can now significantly increase their geographic footprint. Guest speakers who will be broadcast on Talk Exchange Radio include prominent business leaders who have expertise in their specific industries. Listeners can call in and participate in live discussions by calling 602-753-1741. Interested in learning more or being a part of our broadcast? Email us today at voice@thenetworkingexchange.com.
There are projects, and there are game changers. Those ideas that start with us rolling up our sleeves and end with a new favorite room in the house. And when we can save even more on those kinds of projects, with advice to make them even better, that's a game changer in itself. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
And welcome back to Family Affairs. I'm your host, Roseanne Vanella, and today my guests are a mother and daughter from California. They are the authors of I'm Divorced, But I'm Still Me, A Child's View of Divorce. And we have Amie Greenberg, who is a family law attorney in Beverly Hills, and her mom, Barbara Greenberg, who is a psychiatrist and family therapist in Brea, California. Welcome back, ladies. Right before the break, we were talking about the importance of creating parenting plans, making sure the children are aware with what's going on, and we were talking about who would actually benefit from reading this book. And just to recap, we were saying that, whether it's parents that are contemplating divorce, children whose parents getting divorced, really almost anybody who's been touched by divorce. And, I myself am divorced. I didn't have children. I read this book, and it actually, I have to say, touched me in a way that I can't even imagine how it would touch an adult who was a child and had gone through divorce. It's that powerful. So, I want to ask you about the children in the book, the characters. We have Juliana and Nick.